Good Thursday morning. Today, September 21st, is the last day of the entire tarot cycle. Actually, tomorrow, but I guess it's sunset today. Also, just recently, those in the Jewish community have celebrated their yearly Rosh Hashanah, which is kind of technically the new year, but uh, all the profound things the end of a complete cycle represents is what is actually being celebrated. And today I want to talk about uh, the tarot's version of the end of everything. Uh, there's a couple cards in the tarot. Of course, the universe card. We'll talk about that in just a second. It's the very end of the solar cycle. And let's see what Crowley briefly says. Um, the card itself is consequently a glyph of completion of the great work in its highest sense, exactly as the atu, or the trump of the fool, symbolizes its beginning. The fool is the negative issuing into manifestation. The universe is that manifestation, its purpose accomplished, ready to return. And that's exactly what today is. Officially, tomorrow is in the yearly cycle, if that makes sense. Okay. Well, in my twisted sense of making everything an analogy, it makes sense. I want us to do a little meditation ritual based on Enochian magic, and that's what we'll finish up today's thing with. But I want to talk more about this Ten of Discs and the magic court card that represents the same thing, the end of a cycle, the lowest of the low of the elemental universe. And as a court card, that represents the Princess of Discs. Okay, the Earth of Earth. It doesn't get any lower than this. It doesn't drip down into a lower world, like the wands will drip down into a lower world of cups or water, and the cups will eventually drips down into the lower world of that, which is swords, and the swords drip down into lower world of discs. But at the Ten of Discs and in the Princess of Discs, there's no more dripping down to do. As a matter of fact, in the Princess of Discs and the Ten of Discs, there's those tarot's Ten of Discs, everything has gotten itself manifested. It just doesn't, it's just not something that stops. It's something that is complete, manifested, completely fulfilled. That's why that lowest coin there, that Malkuth of the Malkuth of Malkuths here, is starting to bloat up like that cosmic proctologist I talked about a couple of days ago. It has no place to go, but it's containing absolutely everything it needs to actually start all over again. Just like it's an egg with every possible possibility in it, and it's all contained, it's all dripped down and manifested in this one thing, and it's a climax. It's what Crowley calls the climax of the descent into matter. And he goes on to say that's the signal for the redintegration by spirit. And so it's like what happens just before the Big Bang? 10 of discs. Who's that character responsible for the Big Bang? Princess Discs. Let's see what Crowley has to say about the tens, first of all. Believe me, this is not going to take long today. Let's see here. I thought I had this. And where it says the four tens. Hang on. I think it's up here someplace. The four tens. These cards are attributed to Malkuth. Here is the end of all energy. It is away from the formative world altogether, where things are elastic. There is now no planetary attribution to consider. So in other words, the other Sephira of the Tree of Life have planetary attributions to it. But number 10, Earth of Earth, has no planetary thing. You could say it's Earth as a planet, but that's what Crowley's talking about here. There's now no planetary attribution to consider. As far as the Sephira are concerned, it is right down in the world of Asiya. That's the lowest Kabbalistic world, the animal soul of Nepish. So there's Asiya at the bottom, and then Yetzirah, the formative world, and then Braya, the creative world, and then Atzilith, the top world. And those also correspond with the descending order of the tarot cards, wands, cups, swords, and discs. By the mere fact of having devised four elements, the current has derogated itself from the original perfection, detracted or derailed or deviated itself. The tens are a warning. See whether it leads to take the first wrong step. So not only does this represent the end of a cycle, a complete fulfillment, a complete manifestation, it's the threshold of a first brand new step. And that's where we are in the year. That's what Rosh Hashanah is about. And that's why it's at this particular time of year. And that's what's happening to all of us in one way or another, whether we realize it or not, at this time of year, as we attempt to harmonize with the solar cycle that we've lived in year after year after year after year. And all of our genetic ancestry has lived in year after year after year. And if you don't think that we're affected by it, if you don't think that we are a reflection about it, sorry. Hello. Okay, now I'm going to just skip it because it talks about all the tens, but I want to talk about the 10 of discs in particular. This is from the Crowley's Book of Thoth, by the way. 10 of discs, wealth. The number 10, Malkuth, as always, represents the final issue of the energy. Here is great and final solidification. The force is completely expended and the results in death. Mercury rules this card in Virgo, and this may imply that the acquired wealth, being inert, will be dissipated unless put to further use by devoting its power to objects other than mere accumulation. And this is the meditational self examination that's supposed to go on during the Rosh Hashanah time period. Okay. You do look back at the year. Yeah, boy, I worked my butt off and I got this and I made a profit on that or I accumulated that and my and I worked my butt off accumulating this wealth. And here's a reward. I'm going to have a little Thanksgiving kind of thing. I'm going to what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do as the you that you created in that year? Are you just going to keep on scratching and clutching and accumulating more, thinking you're accumulating more? Or are you now ready to put it to further use by devoting its power to objects other than mere accumulation? The discs, or if they have become coins, are arranged in a tree of life, but the 10th coin is much larger than the rest. It's the image indicates the futility of material gain. And the discs are inscribed with various symbols of a mercurial nature, and we've discussed that before, how the magical combination of Mercury, Earth, and the Sun conspire to jumpstart uh, a whole new creational cycle. At the end of the matter, it must be complete stagnation were it not in that it is always the inert will of the Father, the great architect, the great arithmetician, the great geometer. In this case, when Mercury is represented, the Logos, the Word, the will, the wisdom of the eternal Son, the Virgo, the Virgin, in every implication of the symbol, this card is in fact a hieroglyph of the cycle of regeneration. Okay, how about that? And that's today. That's our challenge. That's our marching orders for the new year, if you will. What are we going to do with the you that you've created, that you've developed, that you've accumulated this year? Now, the equivalent is the Princess of Discs. How would I, as a magician, attune myself to this great moment of my yearly life? And there's all sorts of stuff you could do, okay? But the idea is it's kind of represented. And we've got all sorts of ideas going for us in the Princess of Discs, because she represents that same quality of Earth, the lowest of the low, that contains absolutely everything from the highest high to the lowest low. A tattva symbol, if we wanted to sit and meditate on the Hindu tattva symbol, Earth is represented by a yellow square. So a yellow square inside of a yellow square, we could sit and meditate upon that, stare at it under a bright light for a little while, and then move our eyes to a neutral thing. I don't know if I can pull off that phenomena like this, but it'd be sort of like, okay, stare deep, 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 Just sort of unfocus your eyes and sort of zone out at that yellow thing. And just sort of get feeling groovy. Oh, didn't mean to. Okay, get groovy. Okay, stare at that. And then immediately, if you see a little floating image after that, then you can, in your meditative practice, project into that floating image and enter the world of the Princess of Discs. Perhaps get a message what you should actually do with your accumulated wealth for the coming year. But she also represents that subangle, that's the Earth subangle of the elemental tablet of Earth, the Enochian elemental tablet of Earth. Now, each elemental tablet has four corners. It's made up of four squares separated by a cross. But there's a square for air, and a square for water, and a square for fire, and a square for earth. And this is the earth one. Now there's a little hierarchy of angels that rule this. All the subangles are kind of ruled by the big honcho angels of the elemental tablet itself, but each subangle has a little hierarchy going for it too. And there's a whole series of angels, and the names of those angels are determined by how you read those letters of each of those squares. Now there's a little cross right in the middle of this, a Calvary cross, a balt, the vertical line, a balt, and the horizontal line, Arbiz. So those are the God names. In the name of a balt, I ask Arbiz to wake up these other guys. And the head honcho of those other guys is that very top line, OCA, if you will, AC, or NC, Osank. Now, Osank, that guy, top guy, rules the four guys under the arms of the cross. Okay, so there's all sorts of just fractalized angels associated with that. And if you're an Enochian magician, perhaps you would do what it takes to activate, stimulate, and contacts your angel contacts of that to say, okay, what do I do with? What's the best way for me to apply myself here at the end of the cycle? Because it's a magic day. It's a magic day. You have the capability of jump starting your entire life for next year. What are we going to do with that? And there is a call. The elemental tablet of Earth is activated by a real live angelic call in their language. And not only that, but the Earth of Earth, specifically the Earth of Earth subangle, is also activated by that same call, the fifth call. And it's very, very short, very, very easy. If you've got, I'm sure you could Google it and find it, but you can find it in my Constance is laughing because they told her to go Google something at Trader Joe's this morning. And she wanted to say, my husband's a black magician. Go Google him. Anyway, you could do that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it for you. No, actually, I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to do it, and if you care to play back this call a couple times, you can perhaps set up a little meditative prelude to your meditations on this subject. So, I'm going to read to you the English translation of the call, just so you know what the angelic version is talking about. So, first I'll read the English. And what we're activating is that right there. The mighty sounds have entered in the third angle, and we are become as olives on the Mount of Olives, looking with gladness upon the earth and dwelling in the brightness of the heavens, as comforters, unto whom I fastened pillars of gladness 19, and gave them vessels to water the earth with her creatures. And they are brothers of the first and the second, and the beginning of their own seats, which are garnished with continual burning lamps. 6-9, 6-3, 6. Whose numbers are as the first, the ends, and the content of time. Therefore come and obey your creation. Visit us in peace and comfort. Include us as receivers of your wisdom, of your mysteries, because our Lord and Master is all one. And then you could add your own private request to that particular level of divine intelligence. And here it is in the angelic tongue. Sapa zimai didiu od noas taquenas adroch. Dodfal kaozji. Od farnst peripsol tablior. Kasarm amizpi nazarthaf. Od lugar zizaps leda kaozji toltorgi. Od ziki esiesh el teviu od yodil dias hubar pioal sobaconfat kistala uz od quad caucas. Caniz od darbs quaes effithersi od bliora. Yayal edna cicles begle g iad el. Happy end of a cycle. We'll see you tomorrow. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.